Good evening. We had the old Galloping Who's on today at Rosehill, um, where the official attendance was apparently 3,381 patrons. Um, well, I'd say a few were added on. I don't know. There might have been. Uh, Well, there couldn't have been 381 in the public area. No way in the wide world. If there were the other 3,000, they had to be in the grandstands betting with the robots, of course. Those robots in some of those cushy stands, they have. God, they're gold mines, those stands, aren't they? They're the workers who, of course, who can't work in the marketplace, and because they'd go home without their white ants on. But of course, they're in the situation where they bet the board odds that come through on the teleprinter and read magazines all day, and over the period, of course, they're a license to steal. Now, before we get into this Rosehill meeting, we'll go to last Saturday's provincial meeting was at Newcastle, where they had heavy rain before the first race. There was rain overnight, but heavy rain before the first and during the first race, and the track was downgraded from a heavy 8 before the first, and after the first to a heavy 9. The rail was 7 metres out, and there was no section of the track, fence or out wide, that would seem to be worse than the other. It was a matter of handling the going. If you handle the going, it was an advantage. They won up near that. They won leading and coming from behind. So as I say, handling the conditions was the key to that meeting at Newcastle today, week ago. Then we had, of course, those lovely country meetings on the Sunday. They were going to fund the Olympics, weren't they? Those Sunday meetings. Now we've got them full time. There were the meetings on the Sunday, as I say, and the Monday, and then we had a meeting on Tuesday at Wyong, where the rail was, the track was given out dead. The rail was 2 metres out. There was a steady breeze all day coming out of the northwest, which wasn't strong enough to have any effect on any runners or any affect any of the races. The track was actually upgraded to a good 3, and I thought there was no bias on the track at Wyong on Tuesday. There were, the first winner led all the way on the fence. There were runners that saved ground on the fence and got inside runs, and there were runners that came around them wide. Pace had a bit to do with it, and also your ability to win the races. And I would have to say at Wyong on Tuesday, the track played fair and there was no bias at all. We went to Warwick Farm on Wednesday, where the track was given out a dead 4. The rail was 3 metres out, and after the second race, the track was upgraded to a good 3. There was a steady breeze coming out of the a light breeze out of the west, and again, I don't think the breeze had any effect on leaders, and therefore didn't have the way the direction the wind was coming didn't have any effect on any of the results, and you could lead early in the piece, but after race 4, I thought it became a bit evident, and I'm pretty sure the Hickey Hockeys were a jury to it, that the fence after the first 4 races became very loose, and after race 4 it was better to be off the fence and coming down the outside. We did see in race 5 a big result for the captains, a runner called Numbers get home, a 30-to-1 chance, ridden by wily Winona Constant, come from about 4th last, getting to the always travelling well. It's only a little thing, like Winona herself, wily Winona, and pulled it to the outside, and it came down the outside. And then, look, without saying anything about race 6, where the winner sat 3 wide all the way, the very well-backed, resuming Martelago, trained by Ronnie Quinton, ridden by Sam Clipperton, and it was 3 wide all the way on the pace and was able to hold on. And in the last race, the winner wasn't too far off the fence just before the turn. I'm talking about Perfect Weapon, who was another big result for the captains because it didn't have a price. We put it up the 15-to-4 favourite, 15-to-4 the field, $4.80, and was $7 begging it to finish. I reached for it a bit and found it fairly hard to lay. It was close to the fence, but when they turned for home, it switched off heels and finished in the middle of the track. But it was in that race we did see the leader, Knight Templar, who did stick on and run 3rd. It jumped from an outside alley. It came from barrier 11 in a field of 14, and Knight Templar's rider, Mrs. J. Taylor, she was a jury. She didn't go anywhere near the 18 pence. She sat, good 6, 7, 8 horses off coming down the side. There was a runner on its outside before the turn, and that was Reunite. It dropped off, and another runner that was behind it switched inside it, and that was Fireball, who finished close to the fence and ran 4th, only beaten 1.2 lengths. That section of the ground mightn't have been too good, and Fireball's run might have been a little bit better than it looked. As I say, it was evident that they didn't want to go near the fence coming down the side because the leader wouldn't cross to it and stayed out wide all the way. So those last few races, after the first 4 races, they obviously had chopped the inside up a bit. So there were 2 lots of bias that you would, well, not so much bias. The last 3 races, you'd have to adjust your form to fit in with that. I think we got to, and that meeting, by the way, I don't know how the other captains found it, but it was section-wise, there was no section there whatsoever. You'd hold more in the old days. You'd hold more section at a bigger trot meeting than you would at that meeting at Warwick Farm on Wednesday. There were just, we didn't have the pros play on the Tuesday at Wyong, and it was very ocean there. It was so ocean it wasn't funny. But this meeting at Warwick Farm, as I say, I don't know how the other captains found it, but I found that there was very, very little section there. And as I say, going back in time, you could hold more money at the bigger trots during a day meeting, of course, than you would at Warwick Farm there on Wednesday. What is happening to this game? Now, we went to Gosford on Thursday, the main provincial meeting during the week on the Thursday. The track was given out a dead 4. The rail was only 1 metre out from the 1100 to the 300. After we saw, what was it, I think race 1 or maybe race 2, the track was upgraded from a dead 4 to a good 3. There was a steady breeze coming out of the southwest, changing its position slightly from race to race, but generally out of that direction. It didn't have any effect on any results, and I thought the track played very fair at Gosford on Thursday. You could lead on the fence, you could save ground on the fence and get inside runs, hook off heels, or sit back in the field and come wide on the turn and run down the outside and win. The track at Gosford on Thursday played very fair. Now, as I say, the Who's today in good old steak and kidney town were on at Rosehill, and the track was given out a good 3, and the rail was in the normal position. The penetrometer today was 4.5, pointing to for this time of the year during the winter, a fairly firm track, and I didn't think there was any bias on the track at all. There were runners that led, and there were winners that led on the fence and won, and there were also, well, in the where was it, in the third race 6, we saw Murder of Crows come from last on the turn, hooking off heels and coming widest in the straight, and was able to run down the outside and win. The track at Rosehill today played fair. There was a breeze coming out of the southwest, which didn't change direction all day, and it might have been a little bit weaker towards the end of the day than it was the beginning of the day, but it wasn't again like the meetings during the week. The breeze didn't have any effect on any of the results. We kicked off the top fluctuation. I didn't write down again today. I'll tell you what we captains in the marketplace had to put up with. But of course the robots, they had a few extra per up their sleeves, vetting the patrons in the grandstands. Now, this first race, of course, we saw the protest second against first upheld. The favourite going down in the protest, Liberation, ridden by terrific Tommy Berry. Last start when it won at Rosehill, well, I didn't know whether it had enough on the line or it most probably didn't last start, but it did duck out slightly last start when it was getting down to the line when it won at Rosehill. Today, when Tommy was having a good look at himself on the TV, on the big screen in the centre of the track, which we all saw, and the Stipes saw as well. They don't miss anything, the Stipes. They're right on the ball, I'm telling you now. They said, Tommy, we know you're terrific, but don't Captain Cook it yourself on the big screen when you're coming down the straight. He said, aye, aye, sir. So anyway, we saw a protest after Tommy switched hands with the shillelagh and gave Liberation a smack on the rump. It ducked out very, very badly. And unfortunately for Tommy, he wasn't 2 lengths clear of Press Report, who sucked up behind him all the way on the fence. He was only 1.5 lengths clear. The rider of the second horse said, and I'm talking about Wiley were known as Constant, she said, I was impeded there, and the type said, yes, we agree with you. And even though they didn't make contact, the Stipes said, we think with Liberation ducking out in front of you, even if you only got beat 0.1 of a length, we think it cost you the race. And the protest was upheld. If there were betting on the protest, there were very, very good judges who said there's no way in the wide world this will be upheld. And there were also equally as good judges who said there's no way in the wide world this protest won't be upheld. So there were mixed feelings and thoughts about the result, but the Stipes, they're the ones who hold everybody's cash in their hands, and they said no, protest upheld. 1.5 lengths was the key. It would have been two. If you would have been that extra half a length in front and ducked out, being the 2 lengths clear, well, the protest most probably would have been dismissed. But he's only 1.5 lengths. We all know the rules, so the Stipes said no. Number 5 first, judge. Number 1 second, and number 3 is third. And all the grumble and grunters, they said, you blodger, boo, whoa. But the Stipes, they copped it right on the chinny chin, said, no, we know what we're doing. And I most probably would have to agree with them that they made the right decision. Unfortunately for the favourite backers, if it doesn't duck out as badly as it did, it would have been an easy win. The bookies let you lay the 5 to 4 on $1.80, started at $1.70, $1.75, and if you run the race again, it would most certainly still be in the red Liberation. I'd say around about the same price as it started, for sure. And in this race, the captains, we only gave 101% in this race, and the winner, well, it was a bit hard to lay the winner, went from $4 out to $4.80. The favourite, after we let you lay the 5 to 4 on, it was laid on for whatever you want, and it started at $1.75. Very, very hard to get. And that was the first race. The second race, we bet the neat 100% here, and the visitor from Melbourne, La Venta, was able to get the cash. We put it up 2 to 1. 2 to 1 the field, we said. Got out to plenty of 9 to 4, if not, well, $3.30 I saw, $3.20, plenty of it. Came in and only started 13 to 8, $2.60. Very hard to get. Good old Muggins here. I was still $2.60 laying it when they jumped. And I tell you what, I wish they'd run this race again after the last race, because I'd stand it for 10 times more than what I stood it for today. And I'd most probably still win again, and I'd do 10 times as much. But we saw it sit outside Shea Harmony after $8.50 was given, and he started $7. Bit of section 4 at one stage of the betting, and trap 3 wide outside, well, just behind the pace and outside 3 wide outside the leaders on the turn, was the second horse, My Zabil. This horse has improved out of sight since cunning Kevin Moses has got hold of it, and it stuck on very well. It was beaten 0.8 of a length, and the runner that got a suck up behind the leader on the fence after being held up slightly but having its chance was First Class Ticket, who sat, as I say, behind the leader on the fence and got inside it turning for home. It was only beaten 0.9 of a length. The favourite, after it got past Shea Harmony, after they'd flattened out, was able to keep on holding a slender margin all the way down the straight and stuck on and won. There was a bit of section for Forever Crazy at $7 at one stage into $6.50, but got back out to $7 at the finish after opening up a 4-to-1 chance $5. And there was a little bit of section for the others here and there. But as I say, we only played Swai with the punters, only played Swai with you Grumble and Grunters, but it's all right for you Grumble and Grunters. You've got no Toyota Lexus. We've got to pay all those Toyota Lexus, and God, they add up. Oh my God. And when every captain gives a game away after the end, if you could finish with your Toyota Lexus, you wouldn't know where to put it. Race 3, here we saw only 97% bet in the marketplace. And who won this race? Oh yes, good old Layback Larry. Well, I think I might have told you last start, after it was having a second run from a spell last time, it would be greatly improved, which it was. And good old Gay, I own the lead. It's not for sale, not for sale. It was handed down from Tommy. She got it. And there's people have tried to buy it. She said, no, sorry, it can't possibly, it hasn't got a price. The lead, it's not for sale. Went straight to the lead, Layback Larry, ridden by James McDonald, Jumping James McDonald, that is, and he rolled along at the right pace. The stablemate to the well, it's what am I talking about? Multinatural stablemate Done Nothing Wrong. We all knew that it would be either leading or, as Mr. Waller said on the radio this morning, if it wants to lead Layback Larry, we're quite happy to let it go. And ridden by Zoom Top Serge Lisney, or no, I'm going to call Serge Sammy Sparrow. Sammy Sparrow Serge. That's Serge's new nickname. So it was Sammy Sparrow was a very handy greyhound years ago. A little a white, it had plenty of white on it. I remember that. It was either white and black, I'm pretty sure. There wasn't much of little Sammy Sparrow either. That's what we'll call Serge from now on. Sammy Sparrow was on Done Nothing Wrong, and I don't think it worked out too right for Multinatural. I think most thought it would come across and get straight onto the back of Done Nothing Wrong, the stablemate, but that wasn't the case because always plans come undone sometimes, and it was brought undone, I think, by the announcement of the connections of Lucky Liaison saying, we're going to ride Lucky Liaison closer today, and they did. Instead of being back in the field, Lucky Liaison, it went forward, ridden by Clever Karen, and it was in fourth position. And after they jumped out of the barrier, before they hit the first turn, Multinatural tried to get in, but it was 3 wide in that position, and its rider, Terrific Tommy, he realised, well, I'm either going to go forward and have to force the issue, which is going to be no good. The only thing I can do here is go back, and he did on Multinatural, and that was, well, I think Lucky Liaison going forward was the difference between this horse winning and losing. Went back and was on the back of it. When they sprinted at the 600-metre mark, Layback Larry, who was a lot fitter today, kept on rolling along, and the runner that was right on Layback Larry's back all the way on the fence, Single, who was $13 out to 17 back into 16, it was slightly held up trying to get in between Done Nothing Wrong and Layback Larry after they'd flattened out, and she was sort of tightened for room, held up slightly, and it possibly could have held her Acosta Wiley Winona the race, because she only went down by 0.1 of a length, and after plugging down the outside, Multinatural was 1.6 lengths away. The others seemed to have their chance, and as I say, This was no good for the captains at all. We only gave 97 in the marketplace. We got to race 4, and on the in the marketplace, I don't know what was on the screen. Wouldn't be anywhere as it'd be a lot more. I should say it'd be a lot more than what we got in the marketplace, which was only 102%. And here we saw the winner, Oakfield Commands, jump from an outside alley. It had the barrier 8 in a field of 8. It's easy now, but of course with the 2 off for Luke Grace, I thought what happened would happen. There was only one thing for him to do, was go forward from that alley, and he was able to go forward after spending a little bit of petrol to get there, but when he did, he was able to get straight onto the bit and roll along at a good pace. And he came across, found the lead, and finished up holding on. Between the first 4 runners, there was only 0.8 of a length, and it was a fairly good result, I think, for the bookies, because the captains are $4.20 out to $5.50 towards the end of betting. Fairly hard to lay. By the same token, Test of Rhythm was $7 out to $9.50. You wouldn't see it, but Canny Ballad was $11 I saw, which you wouldn't see in the flux, into $8 at one stage, back out to $8.50 towards the end of betting. Territory, fairly hard to lay, $3.80 out to $5.50. The next runner, the Peak, who was only beaten the 0.2 of a length after coming from last on the fence, having an uninterrupted run. All runners in this race had their chance, even though they raced tight. There was no contact, more or less, with any other runner between runners, and he got a run through the middle, ridden by T. Marshall, and the Peak, as I say, went through and was only beaten 0.2 of a length, and was well backed from $6.50 into $5.50 taken at the finish of betting, starting only $5. Mighty Lucky was 15 out to 21. Skiptown was $4 out to $4.60, back into start only around about a $3.60 chance, started $3.60, and 20 out to 30 was Too Much Talk. And as I say, it led on the fence, stuck on. Sitting on its outside was Territory, who the Stipe said, "How come you were so close today?" He said, "Oh, well, I jumped well." And he said it was there, and I didn't have to use too much petrol to get there, so I stayed there. And they said, yes, I will agree with that. But the runner here that got trapped 3 wide in the run and was only beaten 0.8 of a length, or 0.4 of a length, running third, was Run the Race again. It started favourite Skiptown. It would be favourite again. And when I reprice these runners, I'm sure I will mark it favourite. It was 3 wide on a limb all the way. No fault of Clever Kerins. And as I say, was only beaten 0.4 of a length. And Territory, who sat outside the lead, was only 0.8 of a length away. The others had their chance. Race 5, again, no figures at all here for the poor old captains in the marketplace, playing the toughest blokes in the world, who win bucketfuls at the end of the year, all these pros. 98% we only gave. And here we saw He's Your Man, who was extremely well backed at one stage of the betting, about halfway through the betting, and then towards the end of betting. If you had up the $5.50, the 9 to 2, they said, "How much do you want, you mug?" And you had to say, "Oh, only to win, only to win." And they say, "All right." And they say, "Yes, I've got that for you." I'm talking about $6.50 being bet after only opening up a $5 chance. He's Your Man, who was a very good run first up. Had a bit of an easy time, I thought. So $5 out to $6.50, but as I say, that was taken into $5.50 halfway through the betting, and at the finish, if you had up the 9 to 2, they how much do you? It did get some pace in this race, which suited it down to the ground. Mr. Waller, of course, he had 4 runners in this race, 4 runners, and he got the trifecta, and one of his runners protested against, and that was the horse that was third past the post, I'm Imposing, who was extremely well backed at one stage through the betting. It protested against its stablemate, Cup of Tea, and it was upheld. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but anyway, after going to the lead, Mr. Waller's $12 chance, which you wouldn't see in the flux, tougher than ever. Gay, even though she owns the lead, Queenian, who missed the kick slightly, was then very desperately ridden by T. Clark to go through and try and lead on the fence, but no, Tougher Than Ever said, no, you're not doing that. I'm going to lead, who I must admit we all thought would be most probably leading, and he pressured Queenian for that position, and Queenian said, oh, well, I haven't got as much sprint in my legs after coming back from the 2350 metre race, the Grafton Cup, back to this 1500 metre race, and I'm going to have to let you go past me. And that was the case, and Tougher Than Ever went straight to the front. And when they got to about the 800 metre mark, it was a length and a half clear of Queenian, and it was about 2.5 lengths back to Romantic Moon, who jumped a bit awkwardly but had every possible chance. On its inside disclaimer, and on the back of Romantic Moon was the winner, and then back on the fence was Cup of Tea, on its outside Screen Machine, and the horse who ran second on protest, I'm Imposing, running last. He got off their heels, the winner, sprinted quickly, had them covered, and the judge was reaching for number 6 to put it in the frame after they'd gone past the 200 metre mark, and he was quite correct in doing so. And then trying to get between runners and easing off heels, Cup of Tea got in the way of its stablemate on him, I'm Imposing. It was he lost his momentum slightly, and the Stripes said, yes, we agree with you. If he wouldn't have come out, you would have gone through and you would have finished in front of him. So they reversed second and third positions. Mr. Waller still got the trifecta, and of course the second and third horses should have finished closer to the winner. 1.3 by the second horse and 1.5 to the third horse. The margins should have been closer. Does the winner still hang on and win? Most probably does, but the margins would have been a bit more slender. The others in that race, they had their chance. They had their chance. The first 3 place getters, even though the pace was on all the way, were possibly, or they were the best runs. Race 6, and in that race, what did I say? Only 98%. Race 6 came along, 102 we got here. Geez, isn't that, we got positive figures in the marketplace. Oh, quick, get your whistles out for the captains. Here we saw Murder of the Crows come from last position after copping a slight check at the start, settled down in last position on the outside of Worldly Impact, who also copped a bit of a check at the start and made up plenty of ground, which it always does, of course, Worldly Impact. But there was one runner trapped up out 3 wide outside the leaders here. Magic Jewel led on the fence. It's a little bit suspect at finding the line, Magic Jewel. On its outside was the easing favourite, Terra Amata, trained by Chris Lees. It's the runner that ran second in the Kirby at Grafton last start, and we put it up $4.60, the 7-2 favourite, and at the end of betting it was $8, so it was 7-2 to 7s. Didn't have a price. It sat outside the leader, Magic Jewel, and trapped 3 wide outside the leaders was Trailfaz, who was $15 into $11, and then we had lines of 3 going back to the in the field, and trap 3 wide, but on the back of Trollfaz was Bonsai, had its chance, and it was well backed at one stage, dropped off and ran second last. Was resuming from a spell, but its run was ordinary. But as I say, after running along at a good solid bat up near the lead, the leaders, it was able to come wide. The second horse here, Masterstroke, who was resuming from a spell, it sat back in 5th last position. It eased off heels after they'd flattened out, and it got past the leaders, going about past the 150 metre mark, and looked the winner for a few strides, but then coming right down the outside, as I said before, was the winner, Murder of Crows, who was resuming. It had trialled with the same gear that it had on today, the blinkers and the nose roll, and made up a lot of ground, and was able to grab Magic Jewel on the line and beat it by 0.3 lengths. And I must say, those two got away. It was 2.1 lengths back to Worldly Impact, who came from last on the fence in between runners to run into that position. And of course, we all saw Lyric, who was in front of Worldly Impact on the fence, going for an inside run, and then easing off heels and being held up for a good period, held up well, badly held up, I suppose, losing its momentum, and then got going again after it got clear along the fence, and it ran into 4th hole, beaten 2.4 lengths. It should have finished a clear 3rd, and that was Lyric. But the winner did make up a lot of ground. Race 7. Now, this was the worst per all day for the captains. The captains were giving section away here. We only gave 92% in the marketplace. Now, that's the advantage of all you steamers who aren't at the track. Make sure you get the best value for your Oxfords. You've got to. You can't be taking unders with the filthy cancer and the corporates. These were the right flux. Don't worry about those flux they try and tell you they are. You're looking at the filthy cancer. They put them up 2 wines under, and you keep on falling into them. Berbero. Would the owners of Berbero please step forward? Berbero only went from $7, a 6 to 1 chance, out to $14, 13 to 1 chance. Didn't have a price. They thought the hooves were on somewhere else today, and they forgot to turn up. Prince Pedro went from 31 out to 71. It ran along in front in the lead. Wouldn't it be nice, with all things nice, opened up $5.50. You wouldn't see it. I gave 6.5 to make you laugh, 13 to 2 in the outside ring, and I also saw 13 to 2 on the fence. Came into 9 to 2 at one stage. I did lay it well, but started $6. Rock Sturdy, the winner. We put it up evening, money on the field, evens the field. Excuse me, got out to $2.60, back into $2.40 at one stage, no better. Might have even gone off at one stage to $2.40, but at the end of betting, got back out to $2.60, back into $2.50. And then we saw Whisperosa, who has got a trial, the jockey saying from the time it hit the ground his action wasn't right. It got beat 15 lengths. It went like a camel. It was 16 out to 26, back into 21. Then we saw Lorna May. You wouldn't see it. We put it up the 5 to 2 second favourite. 5 to 2 bar it. You wouldn't see, as I say, got out to $4. I saw plenty of 370 on the fence. Started $2.80. So it was 3s to 7 to 4. Australian Star, 26 out to 31, back into 26. Only about 92. And after missing the kick, Rock Sturdy, ridden by Horseman Bowman, who's back in Steak and Kidney after riding in Honkers, missed the kick, but then he dug it up. As I said, Prince Pedro led coming across. Well, Prince Pedro came from the outside alley in a barrier 7 to field 7, found the bunny. Lorna May, even it kicked up and looked at the leader all the way, and then after missing the kick, a horseman Bowman got straight on to the second favourite's back, Lorna May. It did take him a good while to get past it. After Lorna May had got past Babiro, I should say Prince Pedro, Bowman eased off his heels. I suppose you could say, if you were on it, or if you're a captain who opposed it, you were quietly confident. If you were the punter, you said, yes, I'll get him. And if you'd fielded the favourite and you were a captain, you were saying, I'm in a bit of froth and bubble here because this is going to get Whisperosa, but get Lorna May. But because it was so well back to Lorna May, I'd say there would have been a lot of captains who could have been cheering for Rock Sturdy. And because Lorna May was the big firmer, and we only gave 92%, so it wasn't worth a stamp. And when they got down to the line, the margins were half a length, and coming from second last was Wouldn't It Be Nice, who pulled slightly in the run, was never going to catch them, was beaten a length and a half. The two picks hit the line together. We got to race 8, and here, just to spread a bit of cheer amongst you grumble and grunters, we managed to give only 97% in the marketplace, and the winner was sensationally backed. I'm talking about Moral Victory, who found a very, very easy lead, which was the reason this runner got home. The second horse came off its back. The third horse was midfield, 3 wide with cover, and it was a dead heat for second, the margins being 0.2 of a length for the winner, winning only by 0.2 of a length from the 2 dead heaters. And it was 2.3 lengths back to the fourth horse, who had every possible chance. That's Attaboy Ross, who had barrier 1 and sat on the back of Hydro, who dead heated for second, who came off the leader's heels. Now, the flux in this race, made to order, we put it up 5-2 favourite. Got it out to $4.20. They killed you for that, and also the $4. I laid it well at $4, came into $3.80, but at the finish of betting had got back out to $4.60. Palasport was 40 out to 100, didn't have a price. Now the winner, Moral Victory, we put it up the 7-2, $4.60, second pick. We'll say 7-2 bar. Now it got to $7 in the outside ring, a mile of which was the top fluck, $6.50 on the fence. At the finish, if you had up 440, there were the pros there to say, now look, how much do you want, Captain? Do you want 100,000 on it, a prize? No. At this stage of betting, I think you'd only have 50,000 on it, because I'm standing it slightly. You would have come earlier on, of course, I might have been able to accommodate you, but not to this late in the betting when I've only given 97%, and I've only got 5 losers, and they're the 5 picks. I'm hoping for Palasport to come down the outside. Give me some sort of chance, will you? No. And if you had up the $4.40, they killed you for it. After $7 and $6.50 top fluck was bet. Downstown Charlie was $6 out to $7.50 into $6.50. I laid it well at $7, back out to $7.50 towards the end of betting. Attaboy Ross was 26 out to 31, back into 26. Blazing Dragon, I laid it well at 31, Attaboy Ross. Blazing Dragon, I think I laid 7,000 to 100 in. That wouldn't be in the flux. 40 out to $71. Now Black Revolver, excuse me, $4.80 out to $5.50, back into $4.60, back to $4.80 at the end. Then we saw Delago Phil, 50 out to 70. Hydro, the dead heater for second, trained by Gay, sat third on the fence, didn't lead. $8 out to $10, back into $9, back out to 10. And then we saw Cape Clear, 13 out to 15, back into 14. Caliad, 30 out to 40, back into 26. Bat. Magnolia Lane, 26. A pony out to a lemon, 25 out to 50. And the bottom one, not doubtful, was 60 out to $151. And as I say, they showed no mercy. The winner, even though bookies reached for it desperately, excuse me, desperately after, I suppose, being snowed in with mail to order after they'd laid the $4, and also the Downtown Charlie was back, and also Black Revolver, and also Hydro. And after those 4 runners were back, they reached for the winner, as I say, got out to $7 and $6.50 top luck. But it started the Avery. It started $4.20, hard to get, and the runner that was favourite most of the betting, it started second pick, made to order. It sat in the 1-1 position on the outside of Hydro. The rider saying it pulled slightly on him and might be looking for an extra bit of distance next start. It held on only ordinarily. It ran third last beaten, 6.2 lengths. The winners, the winner, as I say, getting that easy lead after when it did jump out of the barriers, was able to stroll across the face of the field from barrier 8 in a field of 13. Find the Bunny, had a lovely time in front, ridden by the 3 kilo boy, Itchy Cowa, and just hang on and win. That was the meeting. If you were wire netting, I hope you had a big plus sign in front of your figure. Good evening.